Oh, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. We have August's spicy open. We're going to take a look at the charts here. We're going to look at what you need to know. I have this all weird. Off to a strange start, but we're going to see what you need to know for August, what the price levels we're looking for are, what's going to be important, what's not. So welcome back, everybody. Don't forget to smash that likes and subscribes. Let's get into it. There we go. This was a little confusing. We have two streams running somehow. Don't even ask. Anyway, here we are at the start of the month. It's an extra spicy day because it's not just the start of the month. We have the close, the last week. I guess we can call it a July weekly close, even though we're in August. Closing today in just 4 hours here. I think it's going to get interesting. We have the monthly pulled up. Man, I'm getting oriented. We have the monthly pulled up here. There's not that much importance here on the monthly. We can look at retracements, but what's really going to stand out is we have the 2021 yearly open down to 28.9. Always an important level to keep track of. We have monthly support sitting at 35,000. That's pretty awesome. The last 3 months closing with long bottom wicks, showing some bullish pressure here. And into July's close, we saw that buying result in price movement. Pushed up and closed all the way at 41.5. Let's call it that. That price also going to be a big player here, as we typically do see into new months. Price flirting with the open. So likely to see this red, and we already have it red, flip back green. I think this has actually gone back and forth like 2 or 3 times in just one day. This is really going to be the first battle. We want to retake this level to see farther upside, clearly. But it's likely going to be a level used by market makers to freak people out. We've had a lot of selling, and despite the chart looking decent now, it hasn't really looked that way for very long. We're going to zoom in here to the month, or to the weekly, because we don't have much else here. So boom, weekly's looking in much better condition. 3 hours, 21 minutes to go. We're looking to make a close above 39. 39,000 would close our weekly above our previous weekly resistance. That'd be a great start. We can see the 20 weekly that we've been watching for so long, curling down, coming down to meet price, currently at about 45,000. With this candle close, we can expect the 20 to move down just a little bit farther, likely mid-high 44s, as the last, well, yeah, you can see it there. The last 20 weekly candles have been losing momentum or losing price, and that's dragging that moving average down. The 50 on the weekly seems to have held. Awesome news. That's not really, I don't think there's too much else here on the weekly other than, again, we close a waning momentum candle. This is excellent news. This is some of the first bullish edges we were able to identify. You guys, I don't know, it's been a week or two. You might already forget. Every person, every channel on YouTube was bearish as anything. I had Casper J on the other day asking me, why are you bullish? And it was hard. It was a hard question to answer. Certainly wasn't the chart. Was not the chart showing us bullishness. It was maybe something more fundamental to Bitcoin. This sell-off didn't really shock me at all. So as long as we're closing weekly candles with waning momentum, things are looking pretty decent here. That makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, potentially 8 here, closing in 3 hours. 8 waning momentum candles, looking for that positive momentum to return to the market. Market cipher. We see last week, actually, and into this week has twisted and is looking for upside. We're finally back on the positive side of VWAP since February. We have been trending under VWAP this entire time. As of last week, I think, 19th of July, we see it back on top. These are some good signs. We didn't have this. If we take the chart, look at it like this, we didn't have any of this. We had some waning momentum on the weekly, but we had very little else to go on. So this is a beautiful sight. Closing that weekly engulfing, putting in another strong candle afterwards. The weekly's looking solid. The daily's telling a much cooler story, or at least more interesting. We did, as we were looking for, close a daily candle over the 100 daily moving average. All the way up to, bam, 42.2. In the last day and a half or 2 days, we've seen some retracing, but you can see the selling pressure is very weak very weak at the moment, at least in comparison to the previous days we saw. These two red candles today, though we did put in a higher high, really not making much progress to the downside. And actually, fingers crossed, today closes in this condition. We can see this daily candle that we're working on, almost a perfect backtest of May and June's high candle closes on the daily. That could be a strong bounce level. I'm not going to put my money on it at the moment, but that is definitely something that's on the radar, something important to look for. 40,600. Holding this low, we could definitely see a move to the upside. You know, we were looking for kind of two scenarios: to reject from the 100, come down to the 35.8-ish level, test that 50 and 20 golden cross, bullish cross we see below us on the daily. But we didn't get that, at least not at this point. And the other scenario being maybe a slight pullback, but moving towards that 20 weekly, lining up with the 200 weekly above us. These are really our price points of significance here. I can pull out some more. Actually, I want to show this. I can pull out some other kind of compelling things about this. Volume profile, I can never find it. It trolls me every time. Some of you may remember this as well. We've been looking at the same stuff for months, so a lot of it is seemingly repeated, redundant information. However, as price moves to these levels, this information becomes more and more important, more and more relevant. And now we're, in my opinion, at relevancy. So I've added volume profile to the side here. Double check, make sure everything's going well. Yep. Added volume profile to the side here with these white lines. And what this is doing is it's describing volume, or it's showing us volume. Instead of by time, it's showing us by price. We have been speculating for quite some time that price would look to test one of these gaps. We have the gap above us. Well, actually now we're at that price level. And that ranges from pretty much that 45 level we were looking for, and I would say is in between that 40,600. So right here, and we have a gap below us down here as well, and we were looking to fill it. Looks like we've chosen the upside for now. The 20 weekly and the 200 daily are right where this volume starts to pick up on profile. So we see the gap, and we see it start to pick up literally where these are crossing. In my opinion, this is a high probability test. That might not sound like a huge statement today, but we have been calling for this price level, 45 to 48, since back here. Can't you see it? Back here in May. Looking for this. It's been a long journey. 2 months. Finally we're back. What we're seeing now is great. I'm really positive on this note. This back test and holding of 40,600 would be amazing. It would definitely set us up on the weekly. To fully test that 20. Above us, there really isn't too much. We have 48,000, or 47.5, 48. That's about the 618 retrace from the 65 high to 29 low. We have weekly resistance right about 60, but honestly, guys, if we make it to 60, I don't really think resistance is going to matter. We talked about that in the last stream. The resistance is really not going to be at play. At that part, the market will be so heated that I think it will just absorb whatever sellers might come at those levels. So daily 220, yes, 2050, yes, 100, and on top of what was resistance being tested as support, things are looking good on this chart. Things are looking very good. Excellent, even, perhaps. Excellent. We're not out of the woods yet. We still have, in my opinion, what is the big boss battle above us, the 45 to 48 area. But if we were going to approach it, if we're going to test it, I'm liking the way the way this can move. It certainly could have just done something else, but we would know. We would know because it would leave our validation. But if we didn't use TA, we would have no way of guessing that maybe this price action would play out. I don't know why I'm championing for TA right now. It doesn't really matter. Really, it's just a humble brag. Exactly as predicted. This low here actually visually fits really well with an ascending low channel. Yes, we have kind of a threat of this ascending channel in general. However, I don't think that's the likely play here. This action looking very similar to what we saw before. We saw this on a small time frame down here. I'll get to the clean chart for this bad boy. There we go. We saw this kind of fractal play out.
We saw it play out here, then we saw a small version of it here, and now I'm going to make the argument that we're doing it again. We're going to do it. We're doing it again until we have reason to say we're not. So we're doing the same thing. We've moved up after a high, and now we're consolidating. This is decent, boys and gals. This is decent. This is mad decent. This is just kind of sloppily drawn line here, but you can see these lows are coming up, prices plateauing, trading sideways, dipping a little bit, then moving to the upside. We've been seeing this price action really since the 21st. This is a little less exaggerated, but it really is the same thing. This is excellent. We can continue to do this for a very long time. This is not worrisome. If anything, this is kind of the parabolic stepping, as I described in the past, but talked about in the last episode, where price moves up, consolidates, moves up, consolidates. Parabolic stepping on a linear or a log scale. So hour. So under the hour, we're below the 20, but every other time frame we're trending above. That is a solid signal. This is a solid trend. Ichimoku cloud. Okay, so I think this update is required here. We did leave the cloud. Closed candles outside the cloud. Great. That's excellent. That suggests that maybe on the daily, the trend's resistance is passed. We do have this flat bottom here at 35,000. That's also our monthly support. This would not be out of the question. And in fact, that could be very healthy. However, at the moment, I think we're still looking to move up to that 20 weekly above. Then maybe we come back down to 35. Is it the 2 week? No. It's the 2 day. 2 days still approach. Not a lot on the 4 hour. On the RSI, we're going to look at this from the chart. RSI, we definitely do see bearish divergence on our highs for the 4 hour. Undeniable. No other way to cut that. Our RSI highs are coming down. Our price highs are moving up. There is something of note here that is important. While we do have bearish RSI divergence, RSI is still remaining above 50. We talked about this a good amount. In the last 2 months, RSI was struggling on almost any time frame to move above 50, above the middle of the range and stay there. And now we are. This is excellent. Talked about this a little yesterday. I won't go into it too much, but you can see we were trending below this on the 4 hour virtually the whole time. We really didn't see any times where RSI moved from oversold and then bounced before moving below 50. So if you look at all these highs, you can see what happened on RSI after. Almost straight down selling. This is not ideal for upwards price action. So we have 4 examples in a row. This one's a little different. Close enough. I'll keep moving. We have 4 in a row. Here we are, overbought again. Sorry if I said oversold, overbought. And we don't see that. We haven't gotten it yet. We potentially have a bounce very close to 50. And while we do have definitely welcomed. 4 hour doesn't really have too much else here for us. RSI and MACD, same bearish divergence. Really not too spicy there. Didn't want to see that. Maybe the longer time frames will have something for us, but we do have a lower high here on our momentum oscillators, and we do have money flow beginning to drain down. That's not great. That's not great. VWAP on the 4 hours suggesting that maybe we are going to see a little pickup here as it's been selling off or waning off. I don't know what you'd call it for that. But it's really going to have to, on the 4 hour, put in a lot of energy to move that back up. I know I said we are going to do short time frames, but now I'm curious. Okay, good. So 6 hour reflecting the same thing, but this is in better condition. I'll explain to you why. So we do have that same lower high. That's not great. However, our oscillator never dipped negative, and money flow looks much healthier. So what we see is a peak and trough, each peak higher than the previous, each trough higher than the previous. Peak and trough. Peak. Now we are looking at another trough-ish area. However, unlike the 4 hour, and this is why I'm happy to see this, it has not made any lower low. 4 hour kind of did. 4 hour didn't look as good. See, we had a low here, went a little lower, and it's lower than the left side of this most recent peak. So the 4 hour is not looking quite as healthy, but the 6 hour is saying don't worry about it. 6 hour is not budged. Those lows are coming up. The highs are coming up. As long as money flow is moving up, making higher highs, I am happy and I am looking for further upside. Hopefully the 2 hour has something for me, baby. Come on, 2 hour. Give me it. Same thing as a 4 hour on our side. That's whatever. MACD is pretty ugly actually on 2 hours as well. Maybe waning here. We have an hour to go halfway through this candle, so possible. But this is looking a little better. Now we do have what looks like a rollover. We do. Typically when money flow reaches zero, it rolls over. It's pretty, you can really just look at the chart and see it if you're looking at money flow. I can take these off, see if that helps. Get rid of this crap. Where's all my dots? There we go. All right, cool. That makes it a lot easier. So we typically, almost on any time frame, when you see money flow reach zero, it flips to the other side. So from red to green or green to red, positive, negative, negative, positive. So that's not a great sign on the 2 hour. That does kind of line up with like not so great 4 hour. However, if you zoom out, and now I'm going to get rid of VWAP, although VWAP is like my favorite thing here. You can see a pattern. You can see a pattern. Our money flow lows, our lowest points have been coming down. Now we have a higher low, suggesting maybe the lows are coming up. Our positive money flow was trending down. Now we have a very high high. Very high. How high? Very high. The previous 2 hour was back in October. So if you're to compare these money flows on the 2 hour, October 2020 was the last time. Yeah, it was the last time it looked like this. So the 2 hour may look to roll over here. Here's my bet, guys and gals. It rolls over and it makes another higher low. Something like this. Might be a little deeper. Let's do like this. Then our lows are coming up. That will be another higher low. And then what I'm going to look for is a very explosive move. Very explosive move to the upside because it's going to need to outdo itself. Let's do it from here to here. Something like this. Suggesting that the low, we might see a little lower here locally in price action. I think the most logical spot to look, though, if we look back to our previous TA, I think that lines up pretty decently with that 40,300 level right here. Maybe we'll put it on this chart, see if that looks good. Maybe it doesn't fit very well. Yeah, this would suggest actually even lower. Okay, down to the 618 level, down at just about 40. That would be actually solid because it would be building support, consolidating here at 40, moving above it, consolidating, and then back testing it. That could be a strong move. Doesn't mean that alts are necessarily going to lose dollar value. I'll explain. Doesn't necessarily mean alts are going to lose dollar value. We have been looking for this dang move since May. I just feel crazy, man. I keep saying the same crap. I keep saying the same stuff over and over again. We've been looking for this move since May. We're looking for dominance to return to the 0.5 retrace. 56.6, 618 sitting at 60. 60 was the consolidation level back in early 2021 and started falling at the end of April when alts took off. So here's the way I see it. This was alt season. Don't get your panties in a bunch. Alt season is not one specific time or place or whatever. This was alt season. This was alts are gaining value against Bitcoin. Roughly around when Bitcoin crashed, this lines up with what we know and what we talk about. We saw Bitcoin dominance reverse for the first time meaningfully in that entire 100, I don't know, it was like 8-week period. Something like that. No, more than that. Multiple month period. 110 days. This is the first meaningful reversal we saw on Bitcoin. Candle even closing that daily up, which we see it failed to really do at all. And then we had a higher low here in June. So this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for dominance to reverse and retrace, maybe dead cat bounce. Typically, we see that happen when Bitcoin makes a very volatile move, whether that be it crashes down below 30K or explodes up above 65. Those would be volatile moves. Really, when it explores kind of new price ranges or makes a significant leg to one side, we see this rally. This is where I'm going to look to enter alts. Could this be it? Sure. That's possible. I would expect Bitcoin to get very, very sideways. Very sideways, though, if I was going to see this drop. But I haven't looked at this in a while, so actually there's something interesting. This isn't exactly the nicest pattern. You know, we can start to see this as a momentum leg. And if that is the case, then yeah, we'll see another alt season. Probably soon. But I really am putting my TA on this is what I think we see. And I think we see a rejection. And then I think we see continuation. I think we see continuation to the downside on BTCD. It may not rally that high. It may only make it maybe here. I think we see it reject and fall. And where should it fall to? Well, likely the previous low. We have never seen this happen before. We've never really had a cycle outside of the previous one with dominance being a factor. Because of pre-2017, Bitcoin was 98% of the market cap. You know, there's very few other coins. And after that bull run, that's when we started to see low. Well, at the peak of the bull run, this was the peak of the bull run, 2017 right here. You can see that peaks of bull runs tend to be near lows in Bitcoin dominance. So we may see that put a new low in dominance. I think that's rational because there's more coins now. The more coins there are, in theory, the more dominance should be harder to get because there's just more options. At one point, Bitcoin dominance was 100% because it was the only crypto. There was no other currency. So it had to be 100% by default. Now, there are thousands of currencies. So just mathematically, Bitcoin can never return to 100 unless literally every single altcoin in the entire world has a market cap of 0. So I think this is logically a bearish chart. Over time, it should trend down. That's what we're seeing. It tends to pick up when Bitcoin rallies. You can see even in the last bull run, there were a few of these momentum legs to the downside. And that's what I'm looking for again. Looking for that momentum leg to the downside. I will admit when I'm wrong. I don't try to hide it. I'm not always right. I don't know why people obsess over that. I wouldn't trust anyone who's always right because that's impossible. I was definitely wrong here. I was looking for a retracement again before I was looking for this move. We didn't get it. We didn't get that retracement. So that's possible it happens again. Maybe we don't make it up to the 0.5. That's possible. But I don't know. My money's there. I'm not looking to enter alts until we reach that retracement level. That's a great question. It's a great learning experience. I haven't talked about that in a while. And it's nice to check back up on it because I haven't. Let's do a quick update here. So next time we look at it, it doesn't look too crazy. Let's take it from here. By the way, guys, dominance is not a real traded thing. I mean, you might be able to buy some kind of tokenized version of it, but this chart is not traded. This is just showing you what percent Bitcoin is of all of the value of cryptocurrency. So this does still tend to move like a normal chart. It's weird. Divergences still work. Patterns still tend to work. So here's what I'm looking for. And I want to update that. So we're seeing higher lows, and I'm looking for a flat top. Doesn't fit perfectly. Maybe on the weekly or something it'll look better. Oh yeah, and I don't recommend you look at Bitcoin dominance on anything other than a day plus, and even a day is kind of too small. You want to be looking at this on the weekly. You want to be looking on multi-day, maybe monthly. That's not looking too great either. Maybe the pattern has changed a little bit. Okay. This is really what I was looking for. Flat top, higher lows. So far, it's okay. Not perfect. What we want to see is these lows keep coming up, and eventually we would look for a break to the upside. This is a very bullish pattern. If it holds, we can likely call it invalidated if we see July's low broken, and then we're probably going to alt town. But either way, this doesn't suggest alts aren't going to rally, especially I got distracted. They may still go up in dollar pair, because I said Bitcoin dominance tends to go up when Bitcoin makes a volatile move. So if Bitcoin moves, breaks past, say, 65K, absolutely. Absolutely what I expect dominance to be up here. Alts would take a beating against Bitcoin, but they're unlikely to actually go down in dollar value. They may stay sideways, They may go up, trend up a little bit, but they're going to get outpaced by Bitcoin. Then when Bitcoin chills out, we see dominance drop and we see those alts kind of jump and make those gains back. So yeah, don't get too worried. Don't get too worried if we don't have alt season soon, because they're not really going to suffer. The only scenario that they suffer here is if Bitcoin just dumps under 30, dominance moves up, and the dollar value's down of Bitcoin